You're tuned in to RX Radio.
Talking about culture to a guy whose quote of the day is "Scared money don't make no money."
You're welcome.
That should be the mantra for all coaching. For coaching, for not personal training. And we talk about the difference here on episode 420, RX Radio. How does fucking segue?
Yeah.
He's back. Hey, 422? Fucking, that was so close. Yeah, it's episode 400 and something. Welcome back, another episode of RX Radio. Today, joined on site, on location, for the first time since last week. Jiunta, myself, go over the difference between coaching and personal training. Because there's a difference, and there should be a difference, and I think people need to do a honest inventory of their skill set, of their personality, of like what kind of lifestyle they want. Mm-hmm. But if you can't manage stress well, and you can't make decisions fast, you should be a personal trainer. I think personally. And there's no shame in that. And you can make a ton of money, and you can help a lot of people. But it meant something to be a coach when I got into coaching. Mm-hmm. And it means less and less the more that the term gets bastardized by people who don't fulfill those two criteria in my mind. To understand how to manage stress and risk, and understand how to manage consequences while making decisions fast. Mm-hmm. If you can't do those two things, you're not a coach, in my opinion. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of it comes from where you're making those decisions from. And we kind of talked about a lot of that comes from understanding that is based in experience. Right? If you don't have the experience in the field, then you're not going to be able to make expedient decisions because you're basing it off of theory or what you think might happen as opposed to what you know has been proven to happen. So I think understanding that helps with the decision-making process. And like we said, you have to have something on the line. There has to be something on the line for you to be considered a coach.
Special thanks. New sponsors. Stoked to work with them. They said only shed about twice a month, but I think we're going to do more than that just because, if we're going to, as a general rule, I know people have podcasts that listen to this, and sponsorship is always something that's cool to have regardless, or even people who are in the athletic, strength sports, whatever, physique sports. If posting about a sponsor that you have is a chore, you probably shouldn't align brands with them. Yeah. Personal thought, right? If oh God, that's so cringe. It's exactly. Then don't endorse the thing. Right?
Everyone else thinks so
too.
Yeah,
that money's not worth making, in my opinion. So, per our contract with Marek Health, we only have to talk about it on 2 episodes a month. We have 8 episodes a month. We're going to talk about it more. For no other reason that we fuck with the service that they provide, and we think it's super important. And it's not, what's the one that goes around with fucking just people shaving their balls? What's that Manscaped one? Okay, there you go, free ad read. There you go, you're welcome. But it's here we are fighting the good fight, bringing healthcare services to the masses. And people out there use my promo code when you clip your dick. It's what is this world we're coming? What is happening? I don't want it. So we're trying to be the antidote to boomer fitness and podcasts with ball shaving promo codes. So Marek Health, super easy. You get in touch with me, go on marekhealth.com. I believe that's the website. So what I've been saying the website is, so I should probably look into that.
Code in the show notes.
Code RX Radio.
RX'D.
Yes, sorry. And not radio, just RX'D.
RX'D.
So I'm fucking this whole thing. It's basically I'm over. I'm over 3.
You're doing great except for the things
except for all of it.
Yeah, it all sucks.
That's a great coaching cue right there. So Marek Health, blood labs. If you're in the States, primarily right now, you're going to be expanding. But service that I've had done, you go in, get your blood work, get your report, and you can start to make some lifestyle decisions based off of what your blood labs are. Under this bookshelf here is a book called Blood Never Lies. Super interesting as a reference text. Has nothing to do with Marek Health, but I think it's super interesting to be able to kind of take autonomy over your own healthcare, which is kind of the ethos at Marek. So check them out. Webinar coming up, Phil Smith. If you guys aren't on the mailing list at www.pre-script.com, talks about the post-dieting window. I believe that's it, right? Did I get that right?
Yep, that's it. Long-term dieting, the post-dieting window, how to manage that properly with your clients. Come listen to Phil Smith.
Do Phil Smith things. So without any further ado, if you're a coach, if you're a personal trainer, or if you don't know If you don't know what to call yourself, let us tell you. Let us, me and my colleagues.
Next hour, you'll find out pretty quickly.
Regret. Make sure you send all complaints to @Marshall Media. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy the episode. We'll see you next week. Because I noticed one thing, and I feel bad if you did it and I missed it, but no meet recap post.
Ooh.
Coming?
Yeah. No, I did a bit of one. I did. It was more so focused around the people that I coached.
Right.
Because it's, I had a moment.
He's a giver. He's a giver, this guy.
I am. Like,
I had a moment.
I love, I love competing in things, but I'm getting to the point where it's not going to be weightlifting much longer. It's, this whole meet, I mean, you fucking saw me. I was miserable the whole time, dude. This whole prep, like, I was brain dead. My fucking body hurt. But coaching, I feel that I'm much better at coaching.
Is that because coaching doesn't hurt your knees?
It doesn't hurt my knees. Other people do the work. I just give them the guidance and the wisdom that I've accumulated. I know. That's hilarious.
The leadership is what it is.
Yeah. I think, that's where this is going. It's as much as I love weightlifting, I'll always do it, but competing is just not it anymore.
Interesting. Do you feel like you have nothing else to explore in the competing side of things?
I feel like I can't. I mean, I hit a lifetime, like a competition PR in the snatch.
125?
125.
Sick.
Snatched in the gym, not on the platform. I was 3 kilos short of my best total, missing 2 clean and jerks, so that I've made plenty of times. But so I think I still can increase my level of performance, but it's a nominal amount compared to the potential of people that I can coach.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think you've earned the right, because people get into coaching. So, because look, most people are personal trainers.
Yes.
And I don't know where the coaching word came into the mix. And don't get me wrong, we understand it and we leverage it. We own a business that's central around teaching coaches. But ultimately, the majority of our students and the majority of the way I've operated in 90% of my career up until like recent-ish, the last like 5 years, which is still, I guess, a long time relative to how long people have been in the industry, is like I was a personal trainer for a really long time. And I think, so here's the difference, and we may have touched on this before. The difference between a coach and a personal trainer, or this should be the difference, is a coach works with someone who's competing in something.
Correct. And
there's an element of competition which changes the way that you weigh in risk and consequences.
Correct.
Right? And I think that's, the consequences piece is big, and that's something I want to focus on, because like there's a difference between knowing and understanding, right? And I think the difference between knowing and understanding is consequences, right? Like,
interesting.
If I'm going to listen about like why I don't kill people every day, I'm gonna because you don't want to go to prison. Like that's being like Louis C.K. did a joke you need the law against murder. It's the number one thing stopping people from murdering, which is like such a great joke, because it's like low-key kind of true, because prison, I'm sure, sucks.
Yeah.
The difference between knowing and understanding is a paralegal can tell you the sentence, how long you will go away if you're convicted guilty of murder. A prisoner can tell you the consequences, right? He can tell you what the consequences are. He understands the consequences. A paralegal knows the consequences. And the difference is the experience. Right? So like coaching to me, because we get this question asked, do you need to be competitive to be a coach? And then, they get into the idea that like Michael Jordan's coach wasn't a coach or something, like wasn't a player or something like that. Is it Phil Jackson? Did he play basketball?
I have no idea.
Like he wasn't probably, if he did, he didn't play to the level of MJ, obviously. Right. But it's like,
no one did.
You need to be able to understand the consequences as a coach. Mm-hmm. You need to understand, not know, right? You need to understand the consequences, not know and you need to, like, I think there's a term that got thrown around a lot around the Vietnam War. This is all over the place. We're talking about MJ, we're talking about the Vietnam War. But
I'm here for it.
Okay, and this is big, because I think there's this, the term is called chicken hawk, which sounds like you should just cancel someone who says that on a podcast. It just sounds bad.
Yeah.
But a chicken hawk would be someone who doesn't reap the consequences of the decisions that they make for other people, right? So the idea is, here you have these people who are like drafting or dodging the draft, politicians, making policy, putting other people into harm's way for the Vietnam War. There's their chicken hawk, right? And I feel like a lot of air quote coaches who know but don't understand, who don't have the experience, and like, look, it's okay to be a personal trainer. I know some amazing personal trainers. I know people who train people for things that don't have a deadline, which is sometimes harder, right? How do you constrain someone with a wife and kids and soccer practice and all this shit to still reach their goals, where their goals are alongside a myriad of other things that will at a lot of times take priority over them being in slightly better shape. So it's like, I think there's been a weird change of like a sleight of hand in the industry where it's like personal trainer, oh nope, actually that's a coach. It's like, well, no, like, and look, coaching is a valuable industry, and there is value behind the experience you've accrued as someone who's competed, in a number of sports at a really high level. But the value comes from understanding, right? Anyone can know, oh yeah, your knees might hurt into a meet, but it's like, yeah, you just know that though. Like, oh, you're gonna serve 3 to 5 out in 18 months on good behavior, but a prisoner will tell you the actual consequences. And it's just like, people aren't willing to suffer the consequences. People aren't willing to put themselves out enough to be wrong. Wrong on the internet is the most inconsequential consequence of all time. True. Of all time. Are you joking? I make 10 times bigger mistakes before I've got out of bed in the morning than being wrong on the internet. And it stops people dead in their tracks. It's like, if you have a trepidation around like, oh, I don't want to post this because I don't want to be wrong. It's like, I don't think you're a coach. I don't think you're a coach. You need to make decisions. Like, you need to make decisions, and you need to run the risk of being wrong, and you need to know how to deal with the consequences. And that's how you understand, whether it's a sport, whether it's the human body, like whatever your really niche is as a coach, you're getting paid for that leadership, right? You're getting paid to be that person where it's like, someone switches, like Olympic weightlifting meets are nuts, because it's just like, it's kind of like The Price is Right of weightlifting, where some asshole comes up and goes, $1, Bob, and you're like, oh, that's
$1.01.
Yeah, and you have 1 minute to compete, and it's just like, so there's an element of like strategy. There's an element of like, can you be calm? And I think that only comes from knowing, right? Like, fight breaks out on the yard, some guy's getting his eye gouged out with a pen. The guy who's been on the block for like a decade goes, yo, hold on, don't move yet. Okay, now go, now run. It's like, that's the understanding, right? And I think we should always seek to understand. So it's like, I'm going off on a tangent, go figure. But it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately is, whatever, coach, personal trainer, call yourself a fucking janitor. I don't really care what your job title is, as long as it's not bikini posing coach. That's where I draw the line, right? Anything holistic, I'm out the game. No holistic, nothing. But it's like, if you're going to be a coach, like, understand what that means, or seek to understand through experience. It's like one of the biggest parts of coaching. And it's always funny to me that people who lean on this when they write their captions or whatever are people who don't have the experience. Like, people will talk so much about empathy. Yeah. And it's like kind of this not new, but like, coaching to me is always about competition. Coaching, as it's being played out in front of us on the internet, to me seems more like therapy. And it's like, you're not trained to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a therapist. Like, just please stop doing that. Like, if your idea of coaching and the reason you call yourself a coach is because you direct people through like the hard times of life, like, you're 24 years old, dog. Trust me, it's gonna get way worse. It's gonna be so much worse. And it's like, but if you're coaching from the slant of like, oh, okay, no, I'm looking to help people overcome obstacles towards a competition, a goal where they're competing against a previous best of themselves, or going on stage and competing against other people, it's like, it's zero questions asked. Like, you have to understand, and the only way you can understand is through experience. And what you're really learning is how to deal with consequences, and what that really teaches you is how to make decisions faster, right? And I think that's where you can sit back. I don't want to say rest on your laurels, but like, that's why your meet recap posts are not about your meet, right? They're about the people because it's like, you've done 1,000 meet recap posts from the CrossFit Games, sort of wrestling competitions and all that. Like, well, there's nothing left to say. And it's like, well, we can talk about these people where there's a lot left to do.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And I think that's exactly where I'm at, is that I'm at a point in his career where I'm worried about the people that I'm responsible for their success, right? And I can lean into that experience because I do understand. I know what it's like to go into your first competition. And this is something that Mac talks about all the time, is the ability to come from that place of what you needed at that point in your career. Is like, okay, I know how I fucked up my first comp. I went into my first, like, people that know weightlifting, there's usually high-level weightlifters will have a team of people with them when they compete. There's someone to count for them, let them know when to take their warm-ups. There's someone to load for them. They might have someone else to, like, do all the fluff shit. But basically, it's you have these people surrounding you that are there basically to make sure that your only responsibility is to walk up to a bar and lift the bar in front of you, and then you sit down. And you don't worry about a single thing. I went to my first meet coaching 3 other people. 2 of them were in the same session as me, and having to figure out my warm-up attempts also, never having counted before. And I'm like, well, this is fucking chaos. Like, I'm not going to do this again. So, like, I've had 4 people compete for the first time. Just this year, I've had 4 people compete for the first time. And 3 of them, no, I've had 5 people compete. 4 of them went 6 for 6 in their first competition and hit PRs. 1 of them went 4 for 6, and she was sick the week before her competition, like was very close to her best lifts ever. So it's like where I like to exist on this spectrum of like getting people into the sport of weightlifting is that making sure that they're set up for as much success as possible. And that comes from a bunch of experience, right? I've been there. I understand what a good program looks like. I understand what it needs to look like as they go into competition so they can perform their best, recover. I understand the conversations that need to be had is that, okay, like I understand that you're anxious that you have to lift heavy and you haven't touched a heavy barbell in a week or a week and a half. That's like a very real thing with beginners. And I understand those emotions. I can not just empathize, but also sympathize with that because I've felt them. I've been there. So I can have these conversations from a place of, yes, I understand exactly how you're feeling. And I know exactly what you need to hear right now. And that's what allows me to be effective in these situations. It's not just because, you know, I saw someone's recap post and I learned from them or I can imitate them because of what they're doing in this situation. It's because, yeah, I've worked with coaches in the past. I've had these interactions, and something I've always been big on with this stuff is learning from what you don't like that someone else is doing. Like if I'm in a situation, it's, yeah, you can always take positives away from that, but like what are the big turnoffs? Like I've worked with a high level, high profile coach that works with Olympians, and they straight up fucking ghosted me before one of my meets. They're like, yeah, sorry, can't be there. You'll have to find someone to count for you and do all the shit. I'm like, oh, sick, dude. You can fuck right off. So it's like, I understand the swing in emotions and how that can affect someone. And I think I'm more mentally resilient than a lot of people in ways when it comes to this stuff, and I'm very independent, so I don't mind handling this stuff on my own. But I know like some people are not like that, especially people that are drawn to Olympic weightlifting. They're very optimal crowd, like very detail oriented, like very, you could throw fragile, like
they're cat
fragile.
They're cat people.
They're cat
like,
people. There's a lot of cat people.
There's a lot of cat people. A lot of cat socks.
Yeah.
Like cat and like a lot of avocado socks. A lot of weird socks.
Yeah, they're cat sock people.
Yeah, that's not it.
Sure.
That sums it up.
Yeah. So that type of person. So like just a little thing, like a little pebble in the road can like completely derail them.
It is a sport that lends itself to that type of fragility, just given such a finicky nature of the sport, right? Like it's golfing with a fucking barbell.
It is.
Right? Like you're
very
watching
ritualistic.
it and you're like, you're watching these flights go up by kilograms and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What? And they're like, they take off like a little slider disc thing and they put on one that's like 4 Cheerios heavier. And it's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is the next attempt. And so it does that pebble in the road thing is really, it's almost like hardwired into the sport where there is a fragility to set and setting that like really leads people to, optimization. Oh, this bar doesn't spin right. And it's like, I would imagine the best weightlifters in the world, like Laksha is probably the only one I know because the other dude's name I can never pronounce. Lao Zhu
Liu Xiaoxin.
God damn.
Yo, he just got popped this past year. He might be.
Oh, did he? Finally got
for EPO.
What? No, he was some other Chinese guy's drugs. That was not his drugs.
Yeah.
EPO, yeah. So EPO is blood doping.
Yeah.
What about the muscle doping?
They didn't find that.
Well, it must have been. Is there a lesser sentence? Who caught him? There's no way China caught him.
It must have been WADA.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Not exactly sure how it unfolded, but then like
someone didn't get bribed.
That's exactly
someone
what
didn't
happened.
get the bag, and it was like, okay, we'll give you a slap on the wrist with just the EPO, which is such a weird. And like, I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm sure Broderick Chavez is going to send me a really angry voice note. But like, energy system wise, that doesn't seem like the move, right? EPO is the common drug that was found in like endurance cyclists, like Tour de France, the whole Icarus thing, right? Mm-hmm. Stimulates red blood cell production and allows you like to have an increased oxygen carrying capacity. I don't know what oxygen has to do with snatching a barbell.
Yeah, I could see like some carryover, but it definitely seems like it's more political than actually like, oh, we slipped up.
Yeah, that's a shot across the bow for the rest of the Chinese team.
Yeah,
I would imagine that's
stands and all. Sounds like
I believe you're looking for the street name Windstrahl.
Is that it?
Stan
That's
as
what
well.
all the weightlifters get popped
The
for.
sprinter drug.
Yeah.
There's Marion Jones.
So sprinting, weightlifting, I can see.
Same. Yeah. Power.
Yeah.
Okay. It's funny. There's like street nomenclature for these types of things, like Windstrahl. You'll hear words like, oh, Windstrahl is like really dry, like minimal water retention. Like you don't want to carry extra weight outside of the. And again, this is all just street level shit from stuff you guys hear in like the locker rooms and stuff. But yeah, Stana is like, that's the go-to sprint drug.
Yeah. That's what everyone gets popped for.
Really? Yeah, they're probably getting sound advice.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, but anyways, there's the fragility to it. But my point being is like, at the best level, the resiliency rises to the top always, right?
Yes,
like
always.
I would imagine Laksha could, at any day, he could clean 200 on a broomstick.
Yeah. Lasha trumps any weightlifter because he's setting world records. Like he's lifting weights in competition that no human has ever lifted in competition. And he's doing it on a 2-minute clock because no one's as strong as him.
Right.
And that's the rules in Olympic weightlifting is that if there's no one between you and yourself in your next attempt, you have a 2-minute clock to rest and recover and do that. So like you've lifted some heavy bars, like 265 kilos. It's not a light bar. And he's, I don't know, he's above 6 foot. He's probably 6'2". I don't even know. My kilo math conversion only goes up to like reasonable weights that I understand.
What was it, 265?
265 kilos.
Hey Siri, what's 265 kilos in pounds?
Come on, Siri.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay Marsh.
Hey, Marsh.
What's 265 kilos? I think it's either 601 or 584.
584.2.
584.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
I've done 275 a few times.
All right.
Yeah, I still got it.
Yeah. So we're knocking on the door of a 600-pound clean and jerk. And he's about 6'2", probably, wingspan. That thing's going 7.5 feet in the air. And he's doing that after, with changes and everything, 3 minutes of rest because he just clean and jerked 255 3 minutes ago.
And he does it with some left in the tank.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part with him is he's consistently like 6 for 6 or close to, right?
Yeah.
Which means like if he had, because he's got competition.
He's got like
right?
some.
Who's this balding kid that's coming out of like
17-year-old Iranian kid or something?
Yeah, dude, you want to talk about Iran having a fucking nuclear program? Look at that guy's haircut. Jesus Christ, that guy's. There's no way that guy's allowed on an airplane. Like that guy's breakfast cereal has lawn fertilizer on it or something. Like that guy is an explosive. This guy's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
But seriously, what's going on? Like he looks like a dog with mange. What's his name? Do you know?
No, I don't even know.
I'm just gonna search Iranian weightlifter, but like he's on the come up, right?
Yeah, he's young and he's like, I don't know his numbers off the top of my head, but he's probably in the 250s, like right around 250 clean and jerk, which is like, no one's really getting closer than that right now.
And what's Lasha at?
I think his world record's either 265 or 267.
Okay, I'm looking this stuff up. So Lasha.
Yeah, but I mean, to further your point, he'll probably go down as the greatest weightlifter of all time because he's lifted more weight than any other human in the sport.
Oh, sure.
And he's able to do that very repeatedly. He's, like you said, 6 for 6, incredibly consistent, and he's doing it on a 2-minute clock. So it doesn't matter the variables, it doesn't matter the competition. Like Liu Xiaojun is also known for that. He's like a game day athlete. Like I think there's some sort of statistic that he's won every competition that he's made 2 jerks in. So 2 clean and jerks in, which is like, all right, if he can get the second attempt,
second lift, or so clean and jerk would come second. So if he gets his second, it's over.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like the performers are going to perform, and that's in any sport. It's mental fragility does not rise to the top. So if you understand that and you can breed that kind of culture as a coach, then you're building athletes that are going to be more resilient, and they're going to continue to rise, because it doesn't matter that this is a different bar that I trained on, or it doesn't matter that I'm facing, a crowd of people instead of like a white wall in a weightlifting room.
So I got his name here. Bedad Salim Kordasabi, 6'6", who weighs 364 pounds. Good, you?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's a human.
That's insane. Iranian weightlifter. All right. Oh, he's 33 years old. But that's an Iranian 33. Those are Middle Eastern road miles, homie.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like everyone's hockey dad.
That's amazing.
How is that 33? I mean, Jesus.
Does it have his clean and jerk in there?
I'm sure I could find it. Let me see. Got him on the gram. Wonder if he'll come on the show. So he's 2-time world champion, 3rd-time Asian Games champion. Let me see. So Olympics. No, got nothing here. Let me, 257 kilo clean and jerk.
Oof.
Is that sounds good?
That's good.
I'm not.
There's not many clean and jerks that are better than that.
Yeah, I don't know where he's at for snatch though, but he's up there. Dude is not looking. He's not looking good.
Yeah.
I feel like there's another kid though.
There is. This
is not the guy I'm thinking of, because his hairline is bad, but it's not like.
Yeah.
Not as bad as I thought.
I'll see if I can pull him up.
Anyways, the best part about Lasha is he doesn't do post-meet recaps. That's my whole thing.
Right.
Is he doesn't post anything. The best part about this, when you know you're good, is when other people are posting for you.
Yeah.
Right? That's when you
Dr. Giorgi.
Who?
I don't know. It's this doctor that just like travels around with him, trains with them, and like
hide it in plain sight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We might as well have your pharmacist there with you too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's tough, because I think it's always hard to draw a line between people who are doing it recreationally and people who are doing it professionally. But in my eyes, if part of your sales tactic, or what the value you are proposing as a coach, is sort of this steady hand of experience, it's like, don't, like, when people do recaps, because there's nothing that gets me more, because I see this behavior all the time. There's nothing that gets me more than a coach who goes on their stories and is like, have a sniffly nose, all clients will email you back next week.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, what a sales pitch to the rest of your following to never use you as a coach. Like, that's insanity to me. The long post for the bad performance.
Ooh, yeah.
Faux pas.
Mm-hmm. That's one.
I don't think we're in the age where people, and like, at least from a coaching perspective, and this is just my perspective, is when you're coaching people, it's so interpersonal that I think people look at this from a really high level, from a business perspective. And this is my take on it. I just have, and I've noticed you've migrated to just having one Instagram account. Like, the Functional Chiro was something that you started, and in 10 days had 10,000 followers. And I was like, how the fuck did you do that? And you're like, CrossFit. I was like, oh, right.
Yeah.
You guys talk to each other. Powerlifters are just weird people who can't look each other in the eye. But like, you've kind of migrated everything to Red, White, and Jordan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I think as a coach, the idea of having a business and personal account is strange.
Yeah.
Because it's like the service you're proclaiming to offer is you, right at the end of the day. So you need to be very mindful of, I think you just need to be very self-aware, period. And what you put on the internet should be a reflection of your degree of self-awareness. And I can be as tone deaf as anyone at certain points, but I try and catch myself to put out less tone deaf shit, which is why I post less in general now. Because I'm like, oh, that was pretty tone deaf, not gonna post that.
Yeah.
But it's, if you're making excuses for yourself, people see that.
Yes.
And you're probably only going to get clients that are going to make excuses for themselves, right? So it's just, I don't know. It's a tough line to draw, and it's not mine to draw. That's just kind of my own personal experience of like having some values, some self-awareness, some accountability at a personal level as a coach who is also competing, I think will find you much further in your career than like trying to compartmentalize those two parts of your life.
Yeah, I agree with that to some degree. I do. My opinion is that a lot of the people that I think we're speaking of and that we think of as coaches, they work on the internet, right? They're internet coaches. So I think the way you need to look at that is that it's not just you, it's your business that you're portraying every time you say something, every time you have a post, anytime you're interacting with someone. You're doing that as you as an entity, not necessarily your personal feelings. I think there does need to be some sort of, I don't want to say compartmentalization, but at least boundaries drawn, right? Is that people meet us all the time. They're like, you guys are exactly who I thought you'd be. And that's like a compliment to me.
That's pretty bad for me. that cuts me off.
Like, oh, shit. This guy looks like a convict. Where's the brass knuckles? No, but like we're genuine people. And I think we conduct business in a genuine way. And like the people that I coach, they would never be surprised by something I put on the internet, right? It would just be, yes, that's consistent with the way he would talk to me or he would treat me or whatever it is. And I think that's something that's important is at least continuity in who you are as a person and you as an entity, as a business.
Yeah.
I don't think those two things have to be the same, but I think you need to, like you said, be self-aware enough to be able to differentiate like, okay, I'm not going to pop off on the presidential election on my business page, or I'm not going to like voice my opinion on this political issue on my business page, because I don't want to hear about that shit with my clients. Like, I don't necessarily give a single fuck who you voted for. Like, I don't care what you think about political issues. I care about you and your performance in the realm that's in my area of expertise. Outside of that, like, I hope you're a good person, but like, that's above my pay grade to manage. Like you said, I'm not your therapist. In a lot of cases, I am your friend, but I don't have to be your friend. I can just be a really good coach, and that's where this relationship ends.
Yeah. I'm your friend until the money stops coming. And
Yeah, right.
But it's, I don't know. I don't want to discourage anyone for having an opinion or voicing an opinion, like, you know, freedom of speech and all that. But it's like, to me, like, all of my friends have some sort of dimension to them, but the dimension to them is the thing that I get to know that other people don't know. Right. Like Jay Marsh, big into music, but like he doesn't post every concert he goes to. Right? The guy's been to fucking 2 shows this week. That's insane. I haven't been to a concert in like 5 years. Right? Or like, you know, you and the stuff you do on your free time, let's say. Like, I love that, and I love getting to hear about it.
Yeah.
I get backstage access to the exploits of Jordan Jiunta. But it's like, just, I don't know, I don't want a coach who wastes, like, imagine not getting a check-in from a coach.
Yeah.
But it's like, they read a new Ayn Rand book or something. And you're like, really? Really? You're posting about this when I don't have my check-in yet? Like, I don't have my program for this week, or you didn't have time to FaceTime, but like, you're retweeting Tucker Carlson or some bullshit. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. It just shows what your priorities are.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I want someone who's all in. I want someone like that kind of lives and breathes it. And now, I mean, if we have to add this to the fucking idiom, is like lives, breathes, and posts it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, it is like becoming such a direct conduit into people's psyche, or maybe lack thereof, but it's just like it shows your intent. And look, there are people who like lifting weights who also like popping off on politics, and it's like, maybe that's how you find your people, but like, I guarantee you those people are not going to be a good representation of your ability to coach. Like, I've struggled with this a handful of times in my career where like I've had athletes, really good athletes, that, you know, are very skilled at the sport that they do, but when it comes to the physical training side of things, like, they're just not that into it. And it's like, well, you're not a really good representation of my abilities as a coach, right?
Yeah.
And you need to kind of pull on the interpersonal strings and figure out ways to get them in the gym and keep them in the gym, and like, that's where you find your victories. But, you know, we're not going to improve 40 times, we're not going to improve vertical jumps, things like that, if you can never care more than your client. I gave that advice to someone the other day who was like struggling with like a higher profile client. And it's tough. Like, when you have because you incrementally, like, hopefully there's still a ladder to climb, and people aren't just skipping the queue to training like Olympic level, national level, international level athletes.
Yeah.
I like to think there's still a ladder to climb. Everyone will have at a certain point their most capable client or their highest profile client, however you measure that. Right? Maybe a client that makes the most amount of money, or your client that has a large social network, or your client that excels maybe at the at a high school level or a college level. And as you go through your career, like, these levels will start getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And it's like, I find the higher it goes, the more you can find yourself clinging to the result of that client as a measuring stick of your own success. And it's like, I've had clients like fucking blow it bad, and like, I've only because I can remove myself from it and be like, there's two pieces of advice I always give a coach, especially when they get into training like higher end or professional athletes. So you can never want it more than them.
Yeah.
Fuck, what's the second one? I literally was just thinking about it. You can never want it more than them. Fuck, okay.
You think about it. I have a hard rule
okay,
when it comes to this, is that I will match my client's effort 1-to-1, 100%. If the harder they try, the harder I will try. As much as you care, I care just as much. Never more, but I will match your efforts 100%. And I don't care about ability. I care about the process, right? Is that some of my favorite clients will never be high performers, and that's okay with me because they care so much and they want to get better. And I will invest exactly as much as they invest into me. I will invest that back into them.
I got it. It's take it serious, but never take it personal. Those are the two pieces of advice I give coaches going into training professional athletes: is you can never want it more than them, and take it serious, but don't take it personal.
I like that a lot.
Like I've had, and I don't know if it's a personality thing, but like, I've had some tough dudes. Like, I've had some dudes, like, I've gotten into physical altercations with my clients.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's tough. Like, some of these guys are pretty physically imposing, and it's just like, because they want to know, and some of this is like borderline and not borderline. Some of it's like actually diagnosable like disorders with the athlete, but it's like, of course they're disordered.
Yeah.
They're the most anomalous person in the world. Do you think that's all good? Like, oh, I was really good at doing this thing, and the rest of my stuff is normal. It's like, no. Yeah. You'll have athletes push that 1-to-1. And like, I've had athletes push that, like, do you care as much as me? Do you care enough to throw hands in the gym? I've literally been at a few points where it's like, okay, this either ends, there's no winning when you fight. And I'm not saying like, you're kind of trying to subdue them.
Right.
You're not trying to actually fight them, but like, there's been 2 moments in my career where I've had to get in and basically to prove like, hey, no, I'm here, man. And it is actually considered borderline personality disorder. But like, they want to push you away, and you need to be right there with them, so they know that you'll be right there with them. And sometimes that looks like, yeah, no, I'm willing to go fisticuffs with you if you want, so you don't be like, fuck you, I quit. It's like, I knew you were gonna quit, like on some like weird Navy SEAL bud camp type shit. Right. Training pro athletes is fucking insane, but those are my 2 rules, right? That's how I can like come home and have like a life outside of it. Is I take it personal, but I take it serious, but I never take it personal, and I never care more than them. Those are like my 2 rules, and ever since adopting them, things go bad on the field, things get torn, things whatever. It's like, well, I was there, I did the best I could, and I can sleep at night. Yeah. But again, consequences. Yeah. Right? I'm willing to accept the consequences. You know, people like have DM'd me before if like someone didn't play well.
What?
Oh yeah, dude, are you joking me?
How delusional.
Oh my god. Yeah, but it's, that's the world of sports. Like, so people live so vicariously through sports, especially like football. Like, I'll get messaged now. We're 2 weeks into the NFL season, and we have like a good class of rookies that are played through, who have come from the NCAA program. I'll get 10 to 15 DMs a Sunday. Why is your boy not playing? He's not playing because of personal issues. What personal issues? And I'm like, dude, I'm doing the reps and sets, dog. Like, what? Come on. But you got to be ready for that. Yeah. Right. But you have to understand the consequences. You have to go through it yourself. You have to know what it's like. You have to know like how freakish some injuries could be. Right. Like what's his name? Chubbs fucking destroyed his knee again. Nuts. Right. That was a couple weeks back.
Insane.
But you have to accept that risk as a coach. Like, that can happen, and so you can't out-program that. Like, and it's funny because there's a calling card to me, there's a calling card for bad coaches, and it's a behavior that someone called out the other day. I want to give credit where credit's due. I think it was Kyle Dobbs from Compound Performance put something out, and I was in complete agreement with it. And he was talking about coaches that talk about athletes' injuries. So Aaron Rodgers snapped his Achilles like a month ago, right? And then there's a lot of coaches going out about like how it could have been prevented. It's like,
Get out of here.
you don't understand anything because you haven't experienced anything. You're not a coach. You're a fucking personal trainer. Shut your goddamn mouth. Because like a coach would be like, yeah, dog, that's pro sports, right? He's had a career. People are like, oh, because he didn't get the COVID jab or because he smokes ayahuasca. It's like, you guys are retarded. Like, you don't know how anything works.
Yeah.
Like classic example. What makes a coach? It's going to be the self-awareness to understand that you're not going to put that shit out on the internet. But that stems from someone who's gone through and has experienced sports at a high level and is used to accepting the consequences. And it's just like that type of flag waving and ambulance chasing is so, like, it's sickening. Whenever I see coaches do that, it's like, use your fucking brain, man. Are you joking me?
Yeah.
Sad state of affairs.
Yeah, something you mentioned is the ability to make a decision too. Like, as you know, I like to gamble.
Where's Jay? I don't know. He lives on the other side of Casino Matrix.
Exactly. There's a gambling saying, scared money don't make no money, right? Like, no risk, no reward. But that's...
I feel like that's on like a Juinta family crest somewhere.
It definitely is. It will be after I die.
Oh my God.
But like same principle to coaching is that like you have to risk it for the reward, right? Without taking a risk, there's no reward. And you have to put yourself out there. Like, you have to get in the game if you want to win, but if you get in the game, you might tear your Achilles, right? Is you have to be willing to understand those risks, assess them, and make an educated decision for your athlete. And that's what it comes down. That's what a coach can do, is they can put you in the position to succeed while minimizing the risks that are associated with that. And that's your job as a coach.
Yeah, and managing the expectations, because some athletes, depending on the route they've taken, don't understand the risks because they haven't succumbed to the consequences yet. Like, managing expectations I honestly think it was one of the first things that we were taught in a clinical setting, was like managing expectations. Because it's the old under promise, over deliver thing.
Yeah.
And I think something that you learn more as a coach is, like, when you start coaching athletes, you're trying to prepare them for their best day. What I do now is I start to prepare them for their worst. And not in like in any sort of direct manner, but like a lot of it comes from, like, and I hate how often this word is used out of context. Like, a lot of it is really like instilling appreciation and gratitude for the level that they're at, because a lot of them don't understand.
Right.
So the nice thing, and you've experienced this, when you start to work with high-level athletes, they are so anomalous in the circles that they came from, right? Like, they're one of one. You know, they were playing 4 or 5 years up in whatever sport they started playing in as a kid, and they've always kind of been like, it's becoming a pro athlete is a very solitary endeavor, right? And a lot of times, even in team sports, like football is odd to even classify as a team sport, because it's, you know, you go through training camp, there's 100 guys there. You cut down to a 53-man roster. You have an outside linebackers coach. Like, you all kind of like go to your own coach. You unify through, you know, the plays that get called, and, you know, you make a couple friends, but always making deals and in and out. And it's like, I think the problem with athletes is they know they're special, but they think they're alone. And that's like it's been a unique situation where I've gotten to like work with so many of them that I'm like, oh, like, you guys don't know each other. I know all of you, but you guys don't actually know each other. And so you guys think you feel a certain way about your ability. You feel some feel guilt because, like, they didn't ask for this, which is like, yeah, man, fuck it. None of us asked to be here, right? Like, take it up with your parents. But if they only, like, there needs to be like a support group for pro athletes, because when things go wrong, they think, to them, because there's so few of them in the world, and everyone that's out there just has to go do their own thing all the time. Like being a good at something is inherently selfish. Right? So when something goes wrong, they feel really isolated and really alone. But it's like, dude, I've had 10 guys in the last like 2 years where something's gone really wrong. Like, here, go talk to this guy. Who's that? It's like, oh, he's like a wide receiver, or he's a running back, or he's an ice hockey player, or he's this, or he's that. It's like, oh, I've never heard of him. It's like, yeah, because you're too busy being the best in this thing, and then there's a guy over there trying to be the best at that thing, and there's a guy over there being the best at that, and they just feel so like siloed.
Yeah.
So it's like managing expectations of like, usually when you get a coach, or when people get coaches, regardless of the discipline, things are optimistic. Right? Oh, I'm making a change from one coach to the next, or I'm making a change from going uncoached to coach. I have this expectation of things going better or good. It's like, oh, sure. But have at least appreciation and gratitude for how well things are going now, because fuck if it can't be gone like that.
Yeah.
And that's like, for me as a coach over the years, that's been like something I harp on every day in the gym. Every day, or even in the clinic, it's like, trust me, it could be worse. And not so much like the day is coming, the other shoe will drop, but it's like, we got today and today is going well. So let's just be happy with that. And so every day's expectations is met, and every day's expectations are met and exceeded. Therefore, you don't necessarily have bad days, right? Because it's tough if you don't do that and you come in and like, okay, and we've seen programs where you're like, I don't know, like that coach is like, this is suspect, this is like a lot of volume, or this is not enough intensity, or I can see why this person's seeking a new outlet. If you don't take time to acknowledge where they're at, you're setting yourself up to fail. You're setting them up to fail as having you as their coach.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really easy to pump your own tires and just be like, oh yeah, no, like we're going to do this different. It's going to be awesome. But it's like, have a little bit of humility and just be like, yeah, you're in a spot where like you can have a coach and you're this good already. So let's just, fingers crossed we can move the needle a little bit, because too many people, I think, are looking to like pat themselves on the back of like seeing the holes in other people's work. And it's like, dude, you're fucking yourself from the gate. Like, shut up, like shut up, say nothing, like self-deprecate, like really dig yourself down and then build yourself back up. But I don't know. It's because I'm guilty of it in seeing that, setting expectations. And even when you meet expectations, it's like, okay, good job, you did the thing. But it's like, okay, where's the enjoyment there, right? Managing expectations, I think, starts with like having a bit of humility around yourself and understanding like the role of just randomness. I think the more you do it, the more you realize like some of the stuff, because you see other coaches and you're like, man, that program's nuts.
Yeah.
And the guy crushes it and you're just like,
all right.
Well, I guess everything works to a certain degree. So anyways, I don't know if there was a point to that diatribe, but like just be cool. Like, I think coaches have been trying to tell them that. And be cool doesn't mean like show up like Alpha Fonzarelli with a fucking dart in your mouth. Like, hey, like being cool, honestly, in coaching usually means saying less.
Yeah. Have a low profile.
Low profile.
Yeah. If your athlete's doing well, that's your body of work.
Yeah.
It can be like not a direct correlation. Like you said, randomness happens, but I really like the piece you had in there about appreciating where they're at right now. Because especially in the rehab space or like working with people that are coming back from an injury, that's something that gets lost. It's like their sight is only on where they were or where they want to be coming out of that injury, not necessarily where they were yesterday or last week or 2 months ago. So keeping some sort of gauge on subjectively how they're feeling day over day, but like objectively measuring that is like, okay, it's a 7 out of 10 pain today when 2 weeks ago it was a 9 out of 10. So you can look back and be like, hey, you're getting better. Like, this is where you are right now. This is where you were 2 weeks ago. Think of where you'll be 2 weeks from now. And just keeping focus on the process at hand as opposed to the end goal.
Yeah, that's a veteran coaching move. And all of that starts with the intake.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that differentiates coaches from PT. And not that there should be a difference. I think the difference is in the client and your aversion to risk, depending on the client's willingness to reach for these goals, right? Because the more you reach for more loftier goals, the more consequent. What is it?
Scare money, don't make no money.
That is the most Pennsylvania shit I have ever heard in my entire life.
If you want to make money, you got to bet money. Right?
There's someone in a pool hall right now in Scranton, explaining this to like their kid to be like, listen here, son, here's a 20. Scared money don't make no money.
Yep. You know, they got a lip or a skull in. They're drinking
kid.
a Busch Light.
The kid, right? Yeah. Dad's on meth, no teeth, shooting the neighbor in the street. Classic PA literature. I don't know. Like coaching, I don't think people think about the words that they use. And everyone has sort of just gone down. And it's something that I really like about the genuine coaches that work at Prescript. Like, I was thinking about this the other day when you were competing. It's like, you know, here we got like the man in the arena. Like, you're out there doing the thing. And you're not a chicken hawk. Like, you teach people about exercise. And you use the principles not only with your clients, but those are the principles that put you at, you know, or on these stages. Killian talks about track and field. Guess who's lining up? Center 6 lane, heat 1, men's Killian Hamilton. Like he puts that kid understands consequences, right? Mm-hmm. Like even from a coaching perspective, like McIntosh, right? McIntosh flies over from Australia to Vegas because he's got girls competing in like world championships, right? Like Baxter is being immersed day to day with like the Singaporean bodybuilding world and like the British bodybuilding world. There's an acceptance like, hey, these guys are valuable assets. They're valuable assets to the sports they compete in, the family units they come from, the social circles they're in, like, and Bax trains with them, right? He doesn't just be like, hey, do this program. He's like in for push today with the boys, and we got this like, you know, the 85 kilo Canadian hockey player Breaking Bad as a bodybuilder, and everyone is like straight to the brow line. Why? Because Bax would be the first guy in the set, right? He's the first one to do it. So it's like, I don't know, there's so many fucking academic chicken hawks just sitting in their goddamn basement in the American Midwest who've given up on their dreams, moved to the coast like a real person with aspirations, and they're just sitting there like espousing like, well, you know, the cable-y thing is like, dude, I don't care. Because you're the paralegal telling me about jail sentencing. It's like, give me freeway Rick Ross telling me about the hard time. That's what I want to know. Those are the consequences. Because like that guy has accepted more risk. And as you said, scared money.
You got it.
I don't make money.
No money.
That's the no money gets me every time. Just the lack of full sentence is like complete Pennsylvania. Scared money. Don't make no money.
Got it.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I just wonder how long that's going to be until I get that tattooed on somewhere on my body.
I'll get it with you.
Tramp stamp. Yeah, we'll get us a tramp stamp. Yeah. You know what we'll get? I'll get my mail tramp stamp.
Yep. Right.
Although I feel bad that like the Mike Jones is across the shin.
Yeah.
That's not. I don't think that counts.
That's good placement. You know.
That right there.
Yeah.
Get that on the camera. That right there. Scared. How would I do that?
You do both thighs.
Well, I got to put it across.
Yeah.
Like a slut. Did I say that?
You can have some fucking. I just wait until this point in the podcast to say the heinous shit because you know it's the one to fuck with us.
Oh my God. Yeah, scared. The thing is, I'm a big advocate for real shorts. Everyone's out there.
Real
like
past the knee?
Dog. Dude. I'm not on the 76 Celtics. What's with the 4-inch inseam? Get the fuck out of here.
I'm above the knee for sure.
Bro.
But like,
no, we got an offender right here. He's short.
Dude.
Those are hot pants.
They're like painted on too.
They're a lot. I mean, I love it. Yeah. I'm surprised you're not wearing snap pants and they're just like right underneath. Dude, the short, like, it's funny because like it started off with chicks, right? Like, chicks wore shorter shorts to the gym, but like the higher up the thigh tattoos started getting, the higher every pair of clothing they had got.
Yep.
And then at some point a dude went, brilliant, love that. And then that, like, you got a sick thigh tat, but it starts low and it's the giant fucking skull, right? Which is like that, nails. Killian's got his knee blasted.
Yeah.
I got a couple things up here.
Yeah.
But no one has any idea about these because I wear real shorts. And I can't because it's literally is as if they brought their pair of fucking chubbies to the tattoo artist and was like, all right, this is how we draw the line. Here. This is literally where we draw the line. And then they go on Amazon or whatever while they're getting the tattoo. And literally, like, there could be at a wedding and just have like Lundy, like shorts at the wedding. And it's just like, yeah, I get it. You know, it's the only acceptable from henceforth, new rule. The only acceptable thigh tattoo is across both legs, and it's scared money don't make no money. That's the only, anything other than that is the male tramp stamp.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this episode's going to get any better than that. So let's call it there. That has to be the name of the episode now, I guess.
Scared money don't make no money.
It's the beginning of October. We're 3 weeks into Prescript Level 1. There will be a webinar upcoming. Keep an eye out. If you're not subscribed to the newsletter, go to www.pre-script.com. Drop your name on the homepage. Webinar coming up for Phil Smith. Mm-hmm. It's about post long-term dieting windows, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, yep.
Yeah, you know this one better than me.
Yeah, and Phil knows it way better than me.
So it's on the way up from here. Webinars coming up.
Yep.
These are always exciting times. If you guys haven't attended one, they're completely free. We usually run them about every month. Next one coming after Phil's will be Dwayne's. Mm-hmm. We'll try and be better at announcing these. If you're in Dubai, the Middle East, or care to be in Dubai, we're doing Prescript Level 1 at the Dungeon Gym in Dubai on last weekend in November, first week of December. So I believe it's like the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of December, or the 30th, 1st and 2nd, 30th of November, 1st and 2nd. Registration is up. We have a couple in-person events coming up. We have Dubai, Melbourne, Australia, and we have Singapore in May, as well as San Francisco. Yep. So San Francisco and Singapore will be the same weekend in May, so if you guys want to check those out, feel free to do that. Head over to pre-script.com. Make sure to check out sponsors, Marek Health. Appreciate them sponsoring the podcast. If you guys need blood labs done, Marek Health code RX'D. And we'll see you next episode.
Thanks, guys.